The Wicker Man is a piece of shit remake movie that came out in 2006 and stars Nicolas Cage. In fact, I was so baffled by how bad it was, I asked myself 3 important questions. Why was this movie made? Who is this movie made for? And what kind of movie is it? If you think about it really hard, you'll begin to realize there was something going on in this movie other than being shit.
Do you recognize this girl? No.
But before we can dive deep into Cage, first I think we need to review the original. Because in the 2000s, remaking horror movies was unheard of at the time. But was the original Wicker Man a horror movie? I don't know about that. So the original movie came out in 1973, which is an important fact to remember. A decade most known for groovy parties, letting loose and sticking it to the man. Unlike our more modern society today, the older generation at the time was getting sick and tired of their hippie bullshit. Thinking and living outside the box of modern society made a lot of people uncomfortable. This is the point where the remake begins to break down and not really make sense for the current time period. So the original movie had a very clear theme of religion and faith, demonstrated by our main character, a cop who's like really into Jesus. Look how pissed off he gets when somebody suggests that Jesus ain't so cool.
What?
So the movie starts with Mr. Copman investigating the disappearance of a little girl. His police station got a letter that said she was missing, but once he gets to the island, everybody acts like they never seen her. You can tell already that Mr. Copman's had enough of this island's bullshit just by the way they treat him.
And who is she?
Fucking assholes. During his investigation, he finds the townsfolk of this place are a rowdy bunch who love to have fun and drink and dance all the time. See, this is where the theme of the movie starts to begin. Mr. No Bullshit Cop, who's probably never had fun a day in his life, finds himself on the funnest place on earth. And remember, this movie began with a very strong religious message.
Religious.
And then Mr. Copman finds the most sinful thing of all. This town is filled with people who just fuck on the ground. Probably premarital too. And if at this point you still didn't understand the movie, here comes Christopher Lee to explain it to you with snails.
I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins.
See, on this island, everybody's fucking around like animals, while Mr. Copman's faith is being tested. Just hearing the sounds of people making love was tearing him all up inside. So he's basically found himself on Hedonism Island, which at first disgusts him.
They are naked.
But he soon finds himself unable to resist the urge of wacky butt dancing. Temptation to sin in a story about religion, not on Jesus's fucking watch. He's able to resist the allure of this island as he continues his search for the little girl, while the townspeople do nothing but fuck with him the whole movie.
Hey, you come back here!
I would go back to the mainland.
Christopher Lee is just like, we live on a magic island and eat magic fruit and fuck all day. And Mr. Copman was having none of that shit.
Oh, what is all this? Have these children never heard of Jesus?
Later, he finds out the girl he's been searching for is going to be sacrificed in some kind of pagan ritual.
Now, don't be frightened. I'm a police officer. I've come to try and get you away.
Hurry, mister, please! I don't like it here!
And then we find the twist. She was never missing to begin with. She was only used as bait to bring the cop to the island for a ritualistic sacrifice called the Wicker Man, where they just stuff him in a big wicker man and he fucking burns alive and the movie ends. Now fast forward to 2006. We get our first poster for the Wicker Man remake. Looks pretty spooky, right? Let's check out the trailer. Huh. So So this modern remake was obviously going to have a lot of differences, but there's one big difference that really counts. That's right, it's Jesus. See, almost more than half the plot of the original is about faith versus carnal desires. The remake begins and Nick Cage is a traffic cop who pulls over this car after a little girl drops her doll out the window. Suddenly, everything goes south when the car gets hit by a truck. Nick Cage, cop, tries to break the window open and get the girl out of there, but ultimately fails. Yep, that's the opening of the movie. So as far as I can tell, the only reason this scene is in the movie is to give Nick Cage a complex that's not Jesus. Apparently that crash fucked him up so bad that he stays home all day and pops Oxycontin and watches old westerns. And then out of nowhere, he receives a message from an ex-lover that she now has a daughter that's gone missing and needs his help. Because he was a traffic cop? Was he gonna write her a fucking ticket? But the missing girl happens to look exactly like the girl who blew up? What? So he takes the case, even though he's still suffering from severe hallucinations of the girl he failed to save. Yeah, just keep popping them mollies, Cage. So now we're about caught up with where the original began. And it's here we begin to notice one of the many strange changes this movie made from the original. For one, everybody in this town is like a creepy, strange mute person. There's also something about this culture that makes it very different from ours. It's run by women. I guess that's the big cultural change that this 2006 movie needed to do, instead of just people fucking. Okay, so here are some weird observations I made while watching this movie. 90% of the footage is of just Nicolas Cage running around nowhere. It's almost like the writers and directors didn't have enough ideas for a movie and needed to pad it out. Yeah, you go, Nick Cage. You're hot on the trail of the missing bee. Wait, what? So this movie got me asking, what makes a remake a remake? Almost every scene in this movie is a word-for-word copy of the original, except this one's got a bunch of crazy Nick Cage shit.
That's not May's daughter, though.
That is simple. If she existed, we would know.
We would know.
Little liars.
You are...
Rowan
Rowan
Woodward
Morrison is a schoolmate of yours, isn't she?
Isn't she? That is
That is
her
her
desk.
Isn't it?
And
And
you're
you are
the
the biggest liar of all.
Which brings me back to my third question. Why was this movie made? Maybe it was because some shitty screenwriter wanted to make a couple of bucks. I don't know. Review over. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed this review, please give us a like and a subscribe. It really helps us out.